On behalf of St Mary's University College, I am very pleased to introduce a new initiative that we have now for our student teachers, namely a virtual careers fair. The target audience has two groups. Firstly, the B.Ed students who are taking that 4-year programme leading to the award of a primary or post-primary qualification. And the second group is the PGCE students who are following a route in Irish medium education for primary schools. I want to start by commending 3 members of the support staff, namely Gavin McGilly, Fionnuala Price and Gareth Connolly, for the work that they have undertaken in creating this new space on our website, because we firmly believe it'll be of great benefit to you. Now, before I speak about the website and the space we've created and the methodology involved, I want to take a step back and talk to you a little bit about the process of making an application for a post in the teaching profession. I have been chairing selection panels for jobs for over 20 years, so I have some considerable experience of the exercise, and indeed knowledge of some of the mistakes that applicants can make. Step 1, of course, is making the application. My most important piece of advice is to take your time in doing this and make the application with great care. The critical point is what is known as the personnel specification. This sets out what the employers want in terms of getting from application to shortlisting. And they will be very explicit. And every school will be different, or every employing authority will be different. They'll be looking for different things. What you have to do is to make sure that on your application form you provide all the information that is required. Now, a very simple one may well be that if you're applying for a job as a teacher in a Catholic primary school, they will require that you have a certificate in religious education. That means that on paper you must write down that you have a certificate in religious education. Now, that's very straightforward, you might think, but let me tell you, there are many applicants who do not write down the evidence that they have the requirements for the post. And if you don't write those down, the people who are doing the selecting cannot make any assumptions, and they will rule you out at the stage of shortlisting. The application form itself says a lot about you. Check it, check it, check it again, and get someone else to check it. And I'm talking about the checking of the spelling. I'm talking about the checking of the punctuation. I'm talking about the checking of the grammar. Because you will, on paper, create a very good impression with a very good application form and curriculum vitae, or you will create a bad impression. And it's a bit like the application form itself. Take time and do this properly. So assuming that you do that, and assuming that you've got a good application form, a good CV, and that the panel selects you for interview, what do I have to say about an interview? Well, in the post that you're applying for, which will be a teaching post, what is absolutely critical is how you come across as a professional. So you'll have spent either 4 years at St Mary's, maybe 5 if you went to the United States and study USA, or you'll have spent 1 year. But whatever number of years you have spent, at the point where you are being interviewed, the expectation is that you are a professional. Now, what does that mean? It means, first and foremost, you never turn up late. That's the absolute total bottom line. You're always on time and you're always prepared. I have to be honest with you and say that you have to spend time on a proper dress code, because you're going into a profession and the expectation is that you will dress professionally. When the time comes to speak to the panel members, the quality of your speech will be very important. Now, I have no doubt that you will have a lot to say, and you will have knowledge, and you will have insight, and you will have experience, but that's only good if it's communicated in a manner which is professional and clear-cut, and that the people who are interviewing you are happy with the way that you're coming across. Secondly, be enthusiastic. I would never employ anyone who wasn't enthusiastic for the job or came across as enthusiastic for the job. That's down to your personality. That's down to the way in which you present all the skills and attributes that you have developed over many years, but do so in an enthusiastic way. You want that post. You want to be working locally in the north of Ireland, or working in London, or working in Qatar. So if you really want to do those things, that's going to have to come across loud and clear. In addition to coming across as enthusiastic, you must come across as confident. Now, not overconfident, because that can give across a completely different message. Recently, I had a phone call from a head teacher in a very good primary school in London. And the content of that conversation really made me proud of our graduates of teacher education. Basically, what he was saying to me was he wanted to employ graduates of St Mary's. And he wanted to know how he could deal with St Mary's directly rather than go through employment agencies. So when we managed to resolve that issue, I did say to him, well, tell me this. What is there about our graduates that you really want? What is there about the way in which they come across that means that you want to employ them and you don't want to employ graduates of other institutions? And he was really helpful. And these are the things that he said. First of all, he liked the fact that our students were confident of their ability as teachers. That reinforces an earlier point that I said. He also felt that our students had a coherence about themselves and a coherence about their understanding of the teaching profession. Now, what he meant by that, when I pushed a little bit, was that our students are coming across, and you have to do this as a whole person, not just a teacher who has got a very specific role, but a broader personality, an interest in sport, an interest in games, an interest in politics, an interest in life generally, that you're coming across as someone who has got things together, and that your understanding of teaching is not narrow, it's quite broad, that you understand that in the context of a primary or post-primary school, there are a great range of roles that have to be undertaken, and that you're aware of those. He liked the fact that many of our students came across as modest, a little bit of humility. In other words, whilst they had a confidence, they weren't, on the other hand, arrogant, because that's getting you nowhere at an interview if you come across as arrogant, because they're going to be saying to themselves, we have to work with this person. Is this the sort of person we're going to work with? And I certainly would rather work with somebody who was confident in their ability, confident that they had the skills, but at the same time had some humility that they were entering a new job as a newly qualified teacher. He really, really went on about the work ethic of our students. He told me about graduates of other universities whose question is, do I have to work in the evenings? Would I ever have to work on a Saturday? What are my hours, and at what time can I go home? Now, those sort of questions, he simply said, I answered them, but they're not getting a job in my school. Our students, our graduates, very soon you'll be graduates, come across as having a work ethic. They're not asking questions about, do I have to work in the evening? They're asking questions about the work, and they're showing a willingness to work. He was really impressed, he was, about the level of voluntary contributions that students or graduates have made to various forms of organisations in their local communities or further afield. Really impressive. If you have done some voluntary work, let the interviewing panel know that you've done it, because it makes a big impression. The application forms and CVs, I spoke about that earlier. He told me that the graduates of our institution do those the best, because they take time to do them. They get some help, no doubt, from others in doing them, but he is impressed from the start by the quality of the application forms and the quality of the CVs. What surprised him over other graduates of other institutions was the great range of other interests that students have, such as interests in sport and in music and in various other aspects of life. That he saw these as holistic people, people with lots of things going on in their lives, busy people, and normally in life it's the busy people that get things done. So if you do have a background in sport or music or dancing or singing or whatever it might be, make sure that they know, because all of those things are important in schools. And then he finished off by saying that he can trust the St Mary's graduates to take on board additional responsibilities very early on in their careers. And that's a great credit to all of you, that the trust is out there in you, that you are mature enough, professional enough and skilled enough to be given additional responsibilities. So let's turn our attention then to this website, or this space on the website that has been created. It is a number of options for you to look at. Broadly speaking, you're able to click and look at videos sent in by employment agencies, and we have 3 or 4 of those, by direct school employers, that is either a single school or a consortium of schools. We have video clips for you from trade unions who talk to you about the role of the trade union, which is very important in the life of a teacher. And then we have 2 representative bodies which reflect most of the schools that you'll want to go into locally. That is the CCMS and Comhairle na Gael Scalachta. And they're going to talk to you about the nature of their schools and how you apply for posts in their various sectors. So they're the 4 categories at this stage that we have. But the categories will grow, and indeed the number of icons and the number of opportunities will grow as well as we build this resource. So I'm taking an example of Kent. So for example, there are very, very good primary schools in the Kent area in London, or in the southeast of England, London, more or less the same place. Great opportunities, and we have someone who is speaking from that area about the job opportunities in the Kent area, setting out some of the requirements, setting up the opportunities, and then if you do like what you hear, then you'll be provided with information as to how to contact the speaker in terms of an email address or a telephone number, so you can follow up. And they all follow the same format. If it's a particular trade union, they'll speak about their trade union, give you the contact information, and you can follow up. I was really impressed by a guy who graduated from here 4 years ago by the name of Lee Ruddy, who left St Mary's and went to work directly in a school in Qatar. And he speaks for 5 minutes or so to camera, very relaxed, very, very confident young man, about living and working in Qatar and what the life is like. And then he says that if you want to speak to him, he's more than happy for you to contact him directly. He's given you various means of contacting him, and he'll talk to you about job opportunities in the area of Qatar. And what he's speaking about is replicated in many cases in regard to Abu Dhabi and Dubai as well. So listen to Lee. He's well worth listening to. He's into his 4th year of teaching in a school in Qatar, and he absolutely loves it. So the virtual fair, or this website, will remain active for many months. It's there 24 hours a day. You can go in and look at whatever you wish and follow up as you might require to do so. And as time goes on, we'll be adding new videos, new people, new connections as they come to us. So all I can now say is best wishes to you on your search for a job in the teaching profession. I know the programs that you've undertaken. I'm well aware of the commitment that our students have shown in all aspects of their studies at St Mary's. I'm very confident that you will get what you want, that you'll get a good job. And the reason I'm confident is because the vast majority of St Mary's students have achieved that. Thank you for listening to me, and best wishes for your searching and your work in regard to this website. Thank you.